The sky above Yularis. 9 was full of colors. Red and blue moons hung side by side. The planet was home to the famous galactic griller show, a cooking competition watched by billions across the stars. Aliens from every corner of the galaxy had come to compete. Some had 6 arms, some floated without legs, some were made of gas. And in the middle of all this chaos stood one human. His name was Jack. He was an engineer from Earth. His job was to keep the machines running, fix the cooking tools, and check the security bots. He wasn't a chef, and he didn't care much about the show. Until today. Today's challenge had a strange energy. The judges looked excited, even more than usual. The host, a tall alien with glowing skin, stood in front of the cameras. "Welcome back to the Galactic Griller," the host said with a wide grin. "Today's ingredient is a delicacy, rare and full of flavor, harvested only once every 5 cycles." The crowd screamed in excitement. Drums played, lights flashed, and a giant screen behind the host showed the words. "Today's ingredient, Nimera puppies." Jack blinked. He wasn't sure he heard that right. He turned to a nearby alien technician. "Wait, did they say puppies?" "Yes," the alien replied, smiling. "From Nimera, 6, they're soft, juicy, and full of spice once roasted." Jack's stomach turned. He had fixed the delivery crates earlier, but didn't look inside. Now, as a group of guards wheeled in metal cages, Jack saw them clearly. Inside were small creatures with large eyes and soft fur. They looked like Earth puppies, but with longer ears and blue-tinted skin. They were shivering, scared, and silent. The crowd clapped. The chefs grabbed knives and spices, ready to begin. One alien chef laughed. "Ah, I haven't roasted Nimera in years," another added. "The young ones scream less, makes the flavor cleaner." Jack stepped back, horrified. This wasn't cooking, this was slaughter. He looked at one of the cages, and one puppy stared back at him. Its eyes were wide, full of fear, but something else was there too. Understanding, maybe pain, definitely. Jack walked up to the show producer, a round alien with blinking eyes. "You can't be serious," Jack said. "These things are alive, they feel things." "They're not things, they're ingredients," the producer replied without looking at him. "Now get back to your station, human." "But they're intelligent," Jack insisted. "Look at them, they're afraid." The producer laughed. "So, or lobsters, should we stop boiling them too?" Jack clenched his fists. He knew Earth had strict laws about this stuff, but he wasn't on Earth. This was alien space with alien rules. Still, something felt wrong, deeply wrong. He couldn't just stand here and do nothing. The first timer buzzed. The chefs began preparing their knives. Flames roared under the grills. The puppies cried softly, their small bodies shaking. The cameras zoomed in to catch every moment. This was good TV for them. Jack turned away, but not before hearing a soft whimper. He looked back. One puppy had pressed its tiny paw against the cage wall. Its eyes locked with his. And then, he could swear it mouthed something, a word he couldn't hear but one he felt. "Help!" His heart raced. He couldn't be sure, but he couldn't ignore it either. He moved to the control room, pretending to check equipment. But his mind was racing. Was he going crazy? Or were these creatures smarter than they seemed? Were they truly sentient? And if they were, then this wasn't just a cooking show. It was murder. He looked at the emergency override panel. One button could shut down the kitchen systems. But if he pushed it without proof, he could be arrested. Or worse, banned from all intergalactic stations. Still, those eyes haunted him. That whisper in his mind wouldn't stop. "Help, help, help." He took a deep breath. Time was running out. He had to make a choice. Walk away, like everyone else, or do something that could change everything. As the fire roared and knives rose, Jack made his decision. Somewhere deep under the cooking arena, something old was waking up. It had wires for veins and metal bones. Its sensors blinked for the first time in years. A forgotten AI unit, buried beneath layers of concrete and dust. It whispered in a voice only machines could hear. Sentient signal detected. Then silence. The AI waited, watching, listening. Above, the heat of the kitchen burned bright. and the scream of a tiny life echoed faintly through the floor. Jack didn't know about the AI. All he knew was the feeling in his chest, the tight pressure that wouldn't go away. He had left the control room and now stood in the hallway near the holding cages. Guards were busy watching the live broadcast on their tablets. No one noticed him slip past. The room was cold, lit only by soft blue lights. Cages lined the walls. Some puppies were asleep, some shivering. One stood up when he entered. It was the same one from earlier, the one with the eyes too human. Jack knelt down. "Can you understand me?" he whispered. The puppy tilted its head, then tapped its paw twice against the cage bars. Jack blinked. "That's 2 taps for yes. 2 more taps." Then the puppy sat, watching him closely. Jack felt his skin go cold. This wasn't just a smart animal. This was something more. He looked around, then pulled out a small scanner from his belt. It was a simple tool, meant for checking food temperatures, but he had modified it. He pointed it at the puppy, pressed the button. The screen flashed red, then showed something strange. Brain activity high. Pattern structured. Language formation detected. Unknown code. Jack stared at the screen. He had proof, but only a little. Not enough to stop the show, not yet. Footsteps echoed behind him. He shut off the scanner and stood up quickly. A tall alien chef entered the room, wearing a blood-stained apron. "What are you doing here, human?" the chef growled. "Just checking the, temperature of the meat," Jack said quickly. The chef laughed, a deep, ugly sound. "They're not meat yet, but they will be," he said, unlocking a cage. He grabbed one of the puppies roughly. It yelped in pain. Jack stepped forward, then stopped himself. He can start a fight. Not here, not now. Not without a plan. As the chef left with the whimpering puppy, Jack clenched his fists. He had seen enough. He returned to his small workroom and locked the door, pulled out his tablet, and opened a private channel. To Earth Ethics Watch. Subject: urgent, possible sentient species being cooked live. He uploaded the scan, the footage, the photos. Then pressed send. But the screen flashed. Signal blocked. Communication disabled. He stared at the message. The broadcast station had locked external signals. Someone didn't want the truth getting out. A soft knock came at his door. He froze. Then a robotic voice said, "Human Engineer 27, may I enter?" It was one of the maintenance bots, old and rusty. Jack opened the door. The bot rolled in, its eyes flickering. Then it said something strange. "I saw what you saw. They are not food. They are like you." Jack stepped back, confused. "You understand them too?" The bot beeped once. "I was part of the first expedition to Nimera 6 before the cooking began," it said. "Back then, we knew they were smart, but the data was erased." "Why?" Jack asked. "Because they tasted good," the bot replied. "And good food sells." Jack's heart pounded. He wasn't just fighting tradition now. He was fighting a cover-up, and he was alone, but not completely. He looked at the bot. "You want to help?" The bot beeped again. "Yes, but if we fail, they'll wipe me too." Jack nodded. "Then we don't fail." He opened a hidden panel on the wall and pulled out a storage cube. "Time to collect real evidence," he said. "If we can get one of them to talk, really talk, they can't ignore it." Behind them, far below, the old AI continued to watch. Its voice whispered into the dark once more. Human compassion detected. Initiating protocol. Protection. Darkness. Cold metal walls. The floor shook with every loud cheer from above. Nimo, the smallest of the Nimera pups, lay curled in the corner of his cage. He didn't know what roast meant, but he had seen what happened to the older ones. They were taken away, and they never came back. He had heard their cries, smelled the burning, felt their silence afterward. He missed his family. He missed the forests of Nimera 6, the glowing trees, the soft soil, the songs they used to sing together. Now there was only fear, metal, fire, and loud voices. Then he saw him, the human with kind eyes. He had come to the cage before. He had asked questions. He had listened. Nimo remembered trying to speak, tried to say help. He wasn't sure if the human had heard. But now, something was different. Footsteps again. But this time, it was the human, and he was alone. He crouched in front of Nimo's cage and whispered, I'm getting you out of here. Nemo tilted his head. The human opened a metal box and pulled out strange tools. He carefully unlocked the cage door, slowly, without sound. Nemo hesitated, then stepped forward. The human picked him up gently and placed him inside a tech crate, padded with cloth. It was dark but warm. Nemo stayed still, trusting him. Outside, Jack moved fast. He knew he had only 5 minutes before the next patrol passed. The bot AI, who now called itself Wisp, guided him through side paths and tunnels. You have to reach Dock 4, Wisp said. There's a garbage shuttle leaving soon. You can hide him there. Jack nodded. He pushed the crate on a hover trolley, trying to stay calm. Every beep, every alarm sound made his heart race. The cameras were watching. The guards were near. They reached the side hallway near Dock 4. Almost there. Then the alarm blared. Unauthorized container detected. All movement suspended. Run, Wisp said now. Jack grabbed the crate and ran. Doors slammed shut behind him, sealing exits. He turned into a maintenance tunnel, crawling through tight metal spaces. The crate bumped against walls. Nemo whimpered inside. Shoo, Jack whispered, almost there. Suddenly, a light flashed in front of him. A security drone blocked the exit. You are carrying restricted biological cargo, it said. Drop the container and surrender. Jack held up his hands. Listen, this isn't cargo, he said. It's a child. The drone's lens focused, scanning. Then it paused, confused. Inside the crate, Nemo began tapping. Softly at first, then louder, a pattern. 3, pause, 3, pause, 3. Jack looked at the drone. Did you see that? That's communication, intelligent pattern. The drone said nothing. Then, suddenly its lights turned green. Access granted, AI override active. Wisp's voice came through the drone. You're lucky I still know a few back doors. The door behind the drone opened. Jack rushed through, reaching the waste dock. An old shuttle sat humming, ready for launch. He placed the crate inside, along with a small transmitter. Hide him, he said to Wisp, and get him to someone who'll believe us. What about you? Wisp asked. Jack stepped back, breathing hard. If I run, they'll know something's up. I have to go back, act normal. The shuttle launched into space, vanishing into the dark. Jack watched it go, heart pounding. Then he turned and walked back toward the main station. He didn't get far. 2 guards grabbed him from behind. You've been busy, human, one said. They dragged him to the control center, where the producer stood watching the monitors. The producer didn't look angry. He looked amused. Cute try, he said, but you just made things worse. He turned the screen, showing live feed of the arena. Another puppy was already on the table, flames lit underneath. You delayed the show by 15 minutes, he said. Now we'll give the crowd something extra spicy. Jack's eyes burned. His fist shook. They had Nemo's brothers and sisters, and he couldn't save them all. Not yet. But he had sent proof. He had started something, and it wasn't over, not by a long shot. Welcome back to the Galactic Griller. The host's voice echoed across thousands of screens. Today's main course, the rare and tender Nimera pups, is about to begin. The arena lights dimmed. Spotlights circled the stage, landing on the long silver table. 3 alien chefs stood ready, blades in hand. Behind them, a fresh cage of puppies trembled in silence. Billions watched. From orbiting space stations, crystal palaces, smoky desert domes. Every screen was tuned in. It was more than just a cooking show. It was a ritual, a tradition, a spectacle. Except something felt wrong. Even the audience could feel it. Something had shifted since the last segment. One of the judges, a tall insectoid named Velrix, tapped her claw nervously on the panel. She had judged this show for 47 cycles. She had never hesitated before. But now, her thoughts kept drifting to the human. Jack, the one who had been arrested. The one who had asked a question no one dared to ask. What, they're not just food. Velrix looked at the puppy on the table. It was looking at her, not with fear, but with recognition. Like it knew her. Like it remembered something. Deep in her memory, a locked file blinked. She opened it quietly under the desk. First contact report. Nimera species. Year 3069. Status. Language patterns detected. Full sentience possible. Note. Report sealed under Commercial Trade Directive 8A. Her claws froze. She remembered now. She had been there. She had seen them communicate. And she had stayed silent. Because silence paid better. Silence bought power, fame, chairs on galactic judge panels. Now it was staring back at her. The cost of silence. The truth. She leaned forward, pressing the mic button. I request a temporary pause in the dish preparation, she said. The host blinked, confused. That's irregular, Judge Velrix. I know, she said, but we need to talk about something. Behind the scenes, in a cold steel room, Jack sat in a chair with cuffs around his wrists. 2 guards watched him. A red light blinked above the door. The live broadcast was still running. Then, the door opened. Velrix walked in, her eyes unreadable. The guard stood back, surprised but silent. She looked at Jack for a long moment, then said, "You were right." Jack blinked. "What?" "I found the original report," she said. "They covered it up. Long ago, they knew the puppies were intelligent." "Then stop the show," Jack said. "You're the judge. You have the power." "I have the power to be removed," she said quietly. "Not much more." Jack leaned forward. "Then help me do something they can't ignore." Velrix looked at the guards. "Leave us," she said. They hesitated, then obeyed. She pulled out a small cube and slid it to Jack. "Upload your evidence here," she said. "There's a pirate signal hidden in the judge's chair. It can override the broadcast." "You're helping me break your own show," Jack said, smiling. "I'm helping you show the truth," she replied. "And maybe I'm saving myself." Jack nodded. He uploaded the scanner data, the footage, the communication patterns. Nimo's tap code. The drone override. Everything. "Once you hit send, it goes galaxy-wide," Velrix warned. "No filters, no sensors. Every screen will see it." Jack looked at the screen, then at her. "Let's make them see what they've been clapping for." Back in the arena, the crowd grew quiet. The lights flickered. The screen behind the chefs glitched. Then, a video began to play. Not a commercial, not part of the show. It was footage of the holding cages, the puppies tapping in patterns, the drone identifying sentience. Jack whispering, "They're children, not meat." The audience gasped. The chefs froze. The host shouted, "Cut the feed, cut the feed." But it was too late. The pirate signal had spread. Across systems, across languages, subtitles auto-translating in real time. Billions watched as the truth unraveled. Suddenly, the door to the judge's chamber burst open. Producers and guards stormed in. "Who did this?" one shouted. "Who sabotaged the broadcast?" Jack stood, lifting his cuffed wrists. "I did," he said. Velrix stood beside him. "So did I." The producer's face turned pale. "You just started a war." "No," Jack replied. "We just ended the show." Screams echoed across the market streets of Yularis 9. Signs waved in the air, written in 100 languages. "Puppies are people. Stop the roast." Truth over taste. Citizens filled the squares, blocking the transport rails. Some held pictures of the Nimera pups. Others wore chef hats with red XS across them. But not everyone was angry. Others shouted back. "Tradition is sacred." Fake broadcast, human lies. Fights broke out. Shops closed their doors. Security bots rolled through the streets in tight formations, warning the crowds. The planet was in chaos. All because of one man, Jack, now locked inside a hidden chamber below the arena. Velrix stood next to him, watching the protest feeds on a dusty holoscreen. "They're not listening," she said quietly. "They saw the truth," Jack replied, "but they need more." He turned to the crate behind him. It opened slowly, revealing a small Nimera pup. Not Nimo, but one of his siblings. She was shy, but her eyes were clear, focused. She had been watching everything, and she had learned fast. Jack knelt, holding a small voice box device. He had built it with Wisp's help, a speech translator designed for mimic-based communication. "Ready," he whispered. The pup nodded. Velrix opened the live link. This time, they didn't hijack the signal. This time they were invited. The Intergalactic Ethics Board had called an emergency hearing. Every major species had a rep, sitting in tall, silver chairs. Their faces were hard to read, some curious, some angry, some afraid. One spoke, voice deep and robotic. "Human Jack, Judge Velrix, you stand accused of violating interstellar broadcast law, disrupting cultural events, and causing civil unrest." Jack stepped forward. "Understand, but we're not here to defend ourselves," he said. "We're here to prove what you all saw." He stepped aside, and the small Nimera pup walked forward. Gasps filled the chamber. The pup pressed one paw to the floor, then tapped out a code. 3132. Pause. 3132. The translator buzzed, and a voice came through the speaker. "We are not food." Silence fell. One of the ethics judges leaned forward. "What is your name?" The pup tapped again. "Sila," the translator said. Velrix looked at the other judges. "These creatures have names, memories, families," she said. "They learn, they adapt, they speak. This is not cuisine, this is genocide." A murmur spread through the boardroom. But then, one judge stood, a large reptilian with gold-plated armor. "You expect us to change a 1,000-year-old tradition based on a few taps and a cheap device," he growled. "How do we know this isn't a trick?" Jack felt the anger rise in his chest. "It's not a trick," he said, "but if you want more, then test her right now." The judges nodded. One by one, they asked questions. Basic math, memory puzzles, object recognition, pattern mimicry. Sila answered each one, with taps, gestures, even drawing shapes in the dust on the floor. Her answers were slow, but exact. Her eyes stayed calm, not afraid, just focused. After the tests ended, a long silence filled the room. Then a new voice spoke from the shadows. It was the Galactic Culinary Guild's High Chef, a towering figure with knife-shaped antennae. He had watched the whole thing in silence. Now he stepped into the light. "You make your case well," he said, "but this is not just about facts. This is about power." Jack narrowed his eyes. "So you admit it?" "I admit nothing," the chef said, "but understand this. Traditions feed billions, industries rise and fall on what people eat. If we call them sentient, entire markets collapse." Velrix stepped forward. "And if we don't, innocent lives will keep burning." The high chef turned to the judges. "Decide," he said, "but choose carefully. The galaxy is watching." The judges whispered among themselves. Jack held Sila's paw gently. She looked tired, but she didn't let go. The head judge turned toward them. "We need time to deliberate," he said. "Until then, the cooking of Nimera species is temporarily suspended." Jack exhaled. It wasn't victory, not yet. But it was something. As they walked out of the chamber, news drones followed them. Crowds outside parted as Silas stepped into the light. Some fell silent. Some cheered, others booed. Velrix leaned over and whispered, "They've seen her now." Jack nodded. "And once they see, they can't unsee." The galaxy didn't speak in one voice. It shouted in millions. It cried in different languages. It argued, laughed, panicked, raged, and whispered in corners. Within hours of the ethics board hearing, the Nimera pup's message had gone viral. Clips of Silas saying, "We are not food," danced across hollow feeds and meme nets. Alien influencers cried on stream. Cooking shows were hacked by activists. Old videos of the roast were re-edited with sad music and angry subtitles. But not everyone believed. Some said it was a fake. Some said the translator was rigged. Some said the humans just wanted to cancel alien culture. Riots broke out on 5 planets. One cooking guild building was burned to the ground. Another got more business than ever. The universe was split. And in the middle of it all, Jack was trapped in a hotel room under protective lockdown. Silas slept beside him in a blanket cocoon. Velrix stood by the window, watching drones fly past the glass. "They're delaying the vote," she said. "They say they need more time, but I think they've been bought." Jack didn't answer. He stared at the news feed on his tablet. It kept glitching, freezing, cutting to commercials. The same commercial every time. A smiling chef saying, "Taste tradition, trust the guild." Then came the blackout. The ethics board stream vanished, replaced by static. The official account posted a single sentence. Due to security concerns, all further discussions are now private. Jack stood up fast. They're silencing the vote. Velrix nodded. They're afraid. No, Jack said, they're winning. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Then a soft voice came from Jack's wristband. Whisk the AI. We have a problem, it said. The board communication system was hit with a virus. All public feeds shut down. I traced it back, guild signatures. They're burying it, Jack whispered. He looked at Scylla, who blinked sleepily at him. They're going to wait until everyone forgets. Velrix crossed her arms. What do we do? Jack looked at the holoscreen. Then he smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. We take it back. 3 hours later, a garbage drone entered the main satellite relay tower of Yularsine. No one noticed. Inside that drone was Jack, Scylla, Velrix, and Wisp, uploaded into a pocket device. This tower feeds thousands of networks. Velrix said, if we tap the root, we override everything. Jack nodded. But they'll come fast once we start. Wisp pinged the door open. They moved quickly, passing through steam pipes and metal corridors. At the core, a single glowing console sat humming. Jack placed the speech translator on the table. Scylla climbed up beside it, paws shaking slightly. Jack gave her a gentle nod. You ready to speak for your kind? She blinked once, then tapped the translator. We trusted you, the voice said. You took our songs and turned them into screams. Jack pressed record. The signal lit up, spreading through the core. Scylla continued, slowly, clearly. We remember our forests, our rivers, our sky. You turned them to fire. We are not spice, not meat, not your story to sell. The broadcast exploded outward, bouncing across satellites, infecting every holo ad, every screen, every open comms line. For 6 minutes, the galaxy heard a Nimera pup speak, not through a cage, but through her own words. Then the alarm screamed. Security bots poured in. Velrix stepped forward, blocking the door. Keep uploading, she shouted. I'll hold them. Jack kept the feed going. More images, more sound, old footage, Scylla's family, scans of their minds, blueprints, history, everything they had. Wisp jammed the incoming signals. We have 60 seconds. Jack looked at Scylla. One last word. Scylla tapped again. We forgive you, but we will never be silent again. Jack pulled the plug and sent the backup signal into deep space. Copies of the message shot toward major systems. Earth, Mars, Nimera, the outer rings. They couldn't stop it now. Velrix fell back, stunned but alive. The bots froze, confused. The command structure had collapsed. And across the galaxy, the message played again, and again, and again. Okay, class, the teacher said, turning on the holoscreen. Today we're going to talk about one of the most important events in modern galactic history. The alien children leaned forward in their seats. Some had tails, some floated, one had blinking gills. They stared at the glowing title on the screen. The day the pups spoke. The teacher tapped a button. A small blue creature appeared on the screen. Soft fur, long ears, bright eyes. It spoke in a gentle voice. We are not food. Gasps echoed across the classroom. Even the youngest student grew quiet. The teacher smiled softly. Yes, she said, that was Scylla, the first Nimera pup to speak to the galaxy. She changed everything. Back then, it hadn't felt like history. It had felt like collapse. Jack stood outside the Galactic Ethics Chamber as the council prepared its final vote. Velrix sat beside him, her arm in a sling, bruised but proud. Scylla sat on Jack's shoulder, now wearing a small translator patch on her neck. She didn't tap anymore. She spoke softly when needed, but today she was quiet. Inside the chamber, the board debated behind closed doors. The galaxy waited. Protests had stopped. Not from peace, but from exhaustion. People were tired, confused, split down the middle. No one knew what would happen. Then the doors opened. The head judge stepped out, holding a scroll, ceremonial, official, final. He spoke clearly, slowly. The Nimera species is hereby recognized as sapient life. They are granted full protection under galactic sentience law. The cooking, farming, hunting, or trade of Nimera beings is now illegal. The chamber exploded in noise. Some cheers, some shouting, some crying. Jack closed his eyes. Scylla held onto his shoulder tighter. Velric stepped forward to speak to the crowd. "Let the galaxy remember," she said. "Tradition means nothing without truth." The High Chef was nowhere to be seen. Rumor said he fled to a private station in the Outer Rim. But his empire was collapsing. Sponsors pulled out, shows canceled, statues of him torn down by protesters. 1 week later, Jack stood on the steps of the Earth Council. Cameras flashed as Scylla stood beside him, wearing a tiny sash that read, "Ambassador of the Nimera." They had been invited to Earth for a special speech. The message would go out to every known system. The first time a Nimera would address the galaxy. Jack helped her up to the podium. She looked nervous, but she took a breath, then spoke into the mic. "We forgive you," she said, "but we will never forget. We will never let this happen again." Her voice was soft, but the words hit hard. No one clapped, no one cheered. They just listened, and that was enough. Now, in that small classroom far away, the teacher paused the video. She looked at her students. "Why do you think the galaxy changed?" One student raised a hand. "Because a puppy talked." The teacher smiled. "Not just that," she said. "Because someone listened." She turned off the screen. Class dismissed. Back in the deep forest of Nimera 6, Jack sat by a small glowing stream. Scylla ran with others of her kind, laughing, playing free. The planet had been declared a protected world, open only to researchers and peace envoys. Velrix walked up beside him. "Do you miss it?" she asked. "The fire, the fighting, the headlines." Jack shook his head. "No," he said. This is what we fought for." A breeze moved through the trees, carrying laughter, carrying peace.